for me, that's why I do my job. I probably said that the last time I was on the episode, but if I can help somebody out, learn what our rules are, how to implement them for a record, and then actually have them go get the record. And especially if it's a junior angler, things like that. I mean, that's, for me, like what makes my job whole.
This is the Connected by Water podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Friel. Special thanks to our sponsors, Starbright, Seaward Systems, Olakai, and Yak Gear for their great support of our show. This episode was recorded in our Seaward Systems studio, located on the eastern edge of the Florida Everglades. All right, so like a little starting like on the fly, because here's the thing, like whenever Zach walks in the room, like the conversation gets good like immediately, and I'm like, next time he comes, we got to bottle that up and try to get it recorded. Because
I just like talking fishing. I also like hanging out with you guys. So,
yeah, see, that's the thing.
And I haven't seen him since the last time I was here. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, well, we're gonna be hanging out a lot more, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna talk about that later today.
Of course.
So how was traffic? Where'd you come from?
I just came from the second ever IGFA school, sport fishing, Pier 66, down in Fort Lauderdale. Honestly, it's not that bad. I just moved up to Plantation since we did the podcast last year.
Oh, you did?
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's
now
where John lives. Yeah.
I just got a house up there, so now like my life's, I was down in Miami before, and that was chaos for me. So yeah, no, it's night and day.
Where's
difference.
Miami? I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the crazy thing for me, like, I know
about that
not
place.
podcast related, but like, so I was driving to the IGFA every single day, and it was like 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes going in, and then like every day an hour 15 coming home.
Yeah, it's
It's
horrible.
like 2 hours of your life, and now my commute to work's like 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes home. So it's like I'm saving myself so much time just to
that matters in your life.
I feel like more relaxed.
Yeah,
on
you
a
do. You
day-to-day.
feel whole again,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah.
It's like that. I can tell you right now, probably about 80% of my decision to close my studio on the beach, because I'm out here in the Everglades and like West Coral Springs and stuff. Like 80% of my decision to close that beach studio was that commute, because during rush hour, like it's an hour to get to Coral Springs to Pompano, but it's like the worst traffic.
Yeah.
Like
And-
it's lights after lights and bumper to bumper. Sometimes you don't even get through a light until like 2 or 3 lights because there's so much traffic backed up.
They should do a study on like I-95 from Miami Beach to like, let's say the Fort Lauderdale area. It's got to be the most dangerous road in the world. Like I did it for 5 years and I got rear-ended 4 times. So it's like, you do the math on, it's like,
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I got a nice truck, F-150.
Yeah.
I haven't had any serious damage from it, but like and I'd like to think I'm, avoiding a lot of I've seen crazier stuff. We could do a whole podcast on stories.
Well, you're
Just my drive to work.
you're from like the New Jersey area.
I'm from just north of Philadelphia, but like
Right.
out in the woods, and then like Cape May, New Jersey. So like again, the roads out here, like the sawgrass and stuff, are a little bit more what I'm used to in terms of like volume on a highway. And then you get down to Miami, and it's just like
it's crazy.
Way too many people.
It's crazy. Like I mean, like we got a whole ton of family up in New Jersey and New York and stuff. So we're up there all the time.
Yeah.
And so I see their traffic, and people are always bitching about it. And I'm like,
no, it's
no,
it's night
dude,
and day.
like we are way worse than you guys are.
It's night and day. And the crazy thing too up there is like down here, up there they have vehicle inspections. I was just talking to my dad on the way up here. He's getting his Jeep certified or inspected right now. You have to get your vehicle inspected in order like every year to drive
it's
it.
such a racket.
And I get that part of it, but it does keep like
It's a
the
money
cars.
grab.
It does keep the cars you see down here that have like wheels falling off from driving on 95 and causing accidents. Like I'll see.
Well,
a
that's
truck.
in Miami. Though.
Yeah,
That's
I know it's the way. It is.
Broward, we don't roll like that up here.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm happy to be a Broward citizen now. I'm feeling comfortable up here. It's very nice.
Nice.
Quality of life has improved.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you.
And I like our location of our studio too. It's
Oh, yeah.
right off Sawgrass. It's like so easy to get to.
It's super cool. Drove by the Amaranth. It's nice on the way up here.
It's cool, right?
Oh, yeah.
You send your salute to the
I
Panthers
did, yeah.
along the way.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. So, before we get going on our episode here, I need to announce the Starbright Solutions do-gooder of the week or of the episode. And so, listen, I called my good buddy Mike Lambricks, right? And we're going to give a shout out to the CCA. And I think it's cool because the one awesome thing about IGFA, CCA, like Bullfish Tarpon Trust is like they all
Common
work
goal.
together,
We're working for a
right?
common goal.
And I think that's one of the coolest things that I respect about you guys and them, right? Is that it's like such a crossover thing, and and you guys have the right perspective of just what needs to be done, and you have different programs, right? And so this one in particular is Stacy Brown of the UFI, which is the Urban Farming Institute. and she is their executive director, and she won their inaugural conservation award for the Broward County chapter. But more importantly, she allows them to grow their mangroves at their farm, and she helps cultivate them and plant them and stuff like that. So she's done a really, really good job with that. And as Mike says, a lot of selfless efforts, a lot of unaccounted for efforts from her. So Stacy Brown, thank you very much. You are the Starbright Solutions do-gooder of this episode. You're going to be receiving a nice prize pack, a bucket full of fun stuff from Starbright. And remember, everybody, if you want to nominate a do-gooder in your area, just message us on Instagram or Starbright's Conservation Director, Corey Redwine. And your nominee could very well win a very special Starbright Solutions prize pack worth over $200. So, or, as I always say, you can nominate yourself. There ain't no shame in that game. Say, hey, listen, I did a lot of cool stuff this week. And there we go. So, and as always, thank you to our sponsors, Starbright, Seaward Systems, Yak Gear, and Olakai for the great support of our show. And I want to now say that we've always supported the IGFA on this show. And I have no problem saying that you guys are like my favorite organization when
Appreciate
it comes
that, yeah.
to conservation or your charitable efforts or just being an all-around steward of taking care of our community. Yes, you guys keep world records. I think that's really just one fashion of what you do now. That's what it started out as. Now you guys are something way bigger and better. Your education, your all these things. Your youth programs are just phenomenal. Your adult programs are absolutely phenomenal. So we are going to be representing the IGFA on this show a lot more in future episodes to come, and you are a big part of that.
I'm
right?
excited to be a big
So
part of
you're
it.
going to be coming on the show more. We're going to be announcing world records of the episode. Or we're going to be announcing different, programs that the IGFA is doing. And then, to really be honest, the biggest reason that I wanted you to do that with us going forward is because of you.
Oh, I appreciate
Because
that, yeah.
you're just a really great guy. You really know your stuff. Don't take offense when I call you a fish nerd.
I feel the same way about you, though. So it works out great.
Thanks. So, and you could talk fishing with the best of them, and it's a love and a passion for you. And then you are just such a great representative of the IGFA, and we're more than proud to have you on the show. So, Zack Bellpinga, I don't know what title to give you just yet, but you're going to be coming on the show a lot more, and we're very proud of that.
Friend of the program.
Friend of the program, right? Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'd like to think, obviously we do a lot of great work at the IGFA, but, you said, great people down there. I really do think we're just a group of really great people that are passionate and care about what we're doing. And that's what shows, you know what I mean? That everybody that's in our office, from top to bottom has a true passion for the work that we do. And we also enjoy, working with each other. And I think that's really important for an organization to succeed, is the fact that,
100%.
we all get along, we hang out outside of the office, and we all share the similar interests, which is, it just goes hand in hand. And, I'd like to think, you mentioned those other organizations. I've crossed brushed shoulders with them as well. And I feel the same way about, individuals that work at all those other organizations. We all, there's a common, goal, but also a shared interest. And it's really nice. Like similar to us, just talking.
Yeah.
If you really do, I used to say this when, I was growing up too, if you meet someone and, that they're passionate about fishing, but people like to fish, but if you're passionate about fishing, I've always found that chances are you end up being a really good person. It's just something about, the sport and, what goes into it.
Yeah.
Obviously there's certain people you cross paths with in the tournament world and, different captains on boats that, are grumpy, and you find some people like that. But if you really truly like what gets you up in the morning is because you just love every aspect of fishing, you tend to be a pretty good person.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you probably believe a lot in the conservation. You want to hold on to the resource and everything like that. It's very rare that you bring up any sort of topic of conservation or fisheries, kind of like, a beneficial thing about fisheries, what can help the fishery thrive and everything, where you would find someone that fishes all the time or just loves fishing that disagrees with it.
Yeah.
Every now and then you're going to be like, you're going to get one of those guys that says, no, we got to keep whatever. I
Yeah.
can fish for whatever I want, whenever I want. And it's just like, all right.
It's also it's an old school way of thinking too. I like to think that our generations are kind of moving away from that too, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
You don't really run into a lot of people, even I'm getting old myself. I'm starting to run into kids,
Really?
younger than me. I'm 31.
Oh
But you're starting to run into people younger than me.
Shut up.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to run into people younger than me that are,
I just had a birthday that I'm not going to mention the number about. So.
I guess I'm still young because I can say the numbers. So when you
Right.
stop being able to say it, that's when I guess you call yourself old.
Yeah, when you don't look forward to your birthday, that's how you know.
Exactly. But no, I'm seeing kids, in their 20s, late teens that are passionate about conservation, which is I'd like to think that that's due in part to the work of these organizations trying to, teach younger generations. Social media helps a ton too.
Yeah.
Because a lot more, people are better educated about what needs to be done, and just little things that you didn't really have as much access to before when it was all print media. So
It's a really good point you bring up, because I think it's interesting to illustrate the fact that you have all these organizations and you see the work that they do, and some are better at it than others. And when I say better, I mean more effective.
Yeah.
Right. And you want to see results, and you want to see that it's actually working. And then, yeah, you're right. You bring up a good point by saying maybe it's this generation's kind of growing up with a different mindset.
It's a slow burn sometimes. I mean, that's part of the process of it, is you really try, and especially you can see if you're doing a specific project in a certain area that's very isolated, you can see an instant impact, and that's an instant gratification in that world. You know what I mean? But if you're really trying to change a broader mindset, it's going to be, take you some time to do that.
Yeah.
That's a big thing we're doing right now. We did a survey last year, or later last year, to try and, answer the question, do people fish by IGFA rules? And if they do or don't, why? And what we found, I mean, you would assume it's common knowledge as to why not. And it would just be that they don't really, know what they are. But what we found out through doing that survey, we actually, it was a very extensive survey, covered the entire country. We found out is there's a lot of regions in the country that don't really know what the IGFA does. And we being in South Florida, obviously know we're everywhere, we're at events, the name is common, but you get a guy in Nevada or Montana, he if you ask him the question, like, who makes rules for fishing, he may say bass or Major League Fishing, you know what I mean? Like, the thought process isn't. So from our perspective, it is going to be a longer process. And that's obviously, I'd say our angling rules go, hand in hand with conservation, but they are separate. But, both aspects, it's going to take a while to shift the narrative and just try and educate people. And that, I'd like to think, we're doing a pretty good job in the last couple of years of really ramping it up. And a lot of the programs we're doing are based on that. And myself being at tournaments and things like that's helping us. But again, that's, if you go to a fishing tournament, chances are people know the IGFA rules if they paid money to enter a fishing tournament. You got to you got to get yourself to the parts of the world where people might not necessarily know who we are and spread the message that way.
And I bet you, if you've ever caught a really big fish that was a potential world record and you weren't fishing by IGFA rules, you'd probably never make that mistake ever again.
Yeah. No, right? Obviously we could fill up podcast episode with stories I've got,
and we
will, and we will, with people submitting world records and me having to reject them for one reason or another. And there's always the positive stories, and the what follows that is when the person goes back out and learns the rules, does it the right way, submits the record again, and gets it. That's happened to me a handful of times, and that's a cool feeling, because the initial conversation is negative, right? You don't want to be told no, you messed up. But if you can take that, learn from it, and then go reemploy it and actually get the record, for me, that's why I do my job. I probably said that the last time I was on that episode, but if I can help somebody out, learn what our rules are, how to implement them for a record, and then actually have them go get the record, and especially if it's a junior angler, things like that, I mean, that's, for me, what makes my job whole.
There has to be a standard.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be a standard of how it's done. And the reason that the rules are so important is because it levels the playing field.
I have a great
analogy. It says everyone has to fish on the same way in order for this to count. And this is the fair way to catch a fish.
Yeah, I have a great analogy, and it's, I'd like to think fishing is cooler than golf. My grandfather would probably tell you otherwise, but
certainly just as frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. But if you do follow golf, like, I'd like to always make the analogy that the IGFA is similar to what the PGA does and the USGA for golf, right? Like, if you're out golfing with your friends on a weekend and somebody hits a ball behind a tree and you're not taking it that serious, you're going to be like, you can't make the shot. You're going to kick the ball out from behind the tree and you're going to take your next shot. Now, you can't count that. You may, on that, when you're messing around with your friends, count that and put it in there. But like the significance behind those rules are, that's not true to that sport, right? And so
Right.
for our rules, it's the same way. Like you can go out
You didn't
and you
really
can
hit a 99, you
yeah,
hit a 101.
exactly. You can go out and you can pick up the rod, hook the fish, hand it to somebody else, have them reeled in, and be like, "Hey, congratulations, you caught a nice fish." And nothing against people doing that, you know what I mean? But if you really want to hold yourself to that standard, and to our rules, that wouldn't count. You know what I mean? And that's the significance behind it. Is how do you measure yourself up with other people doing the same thing as you?
Yeah.
You know, if you're really serious and passionate about fishing, you should feel a responsibility to follow IGFA rules, because that's how you can measure yourself up against other people that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way from a sport aspect, it clicks. It's a good way to teach people too, because it clicks a little bit better when you can explain it that way and say,
Right.
like, you know,
Before we get back to the show, here's something I use every time I fill up a tank. I add Startron enzyme fuel treatment from Starbright to my fuel for my boat, lawnmower, anything with an engine. It's designed to keep fuel fresh, help prevent ethanol-related problems, and keep engines running smoother and starting easier, especially when your gear sits between trips. You can find Startron enzyme treatment at most tackle shops and even Walmart in the automotive section. Add it every fill-up and keep your engines ready for next time you're ready to hit the water. Well, we're talking about a world record,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And if you, let's say hypothetically, you put yourself in professional baseball, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in some other league in baseball and you hit 700 home runs, you know, does
Doesn't
that
it?
matter?
Exactly.
I mean, as much as it
Yeah.
did in the Major League Baseball, following their rules and
Yeah.
throughout all the years.
And the big thing for us too with the rules, right, is we want to emphasize, similar to what I was just describing, not just record fishing, but because you never know when you may catch a record fish,
Mhm.
trying to incorporate them at all times, because as long as you're following that set standard, you're prepared for any scenario. And
Yeah.
you can't control what size fish bites your bait, and what there's a lot of record
Bouncer
opportunities out
Smith
there.
would differ,
Yeah, he would differ. He may be one of the very few people that can control that. I've tried to learn as much as I can from him. But like, there are a lot of record opportunities out there. There's been instances where people have caught one fish for, thinking it's one record, and they've submitted it, and based off the way they went through the process, like for example, they've caught a fish thinking it was a weight record, but they, for junior angler, let's say, because you're allowed to weigh the fish on the boat, right? And they've measured the fish and then released it, which would qualify for our length record program.
Mhm.
And so, for one reason or another, let's say the line over tested, but I've been able to say, hey, because you also followed this step, measured it on a measuring device, you have our IGFA measuring device, I can actually award you this other record. So there's being prepared is a very important aspect of
Right.
that style of fishing, and it starts with learning the rules and making sure you implement them when you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about this sport fish school that you got going on
Sure.
there. You just came from.
Yeah, and Nick DeGenero,
That's at Pier 66,
it's
right?
at Pier 66. They're very, very generous
Yeah.
hosts.
For those that don't know Pier 66 that aren't from Broward or South Florida, because hopefully the IGFA casts a bigger
Yeah,
net for this,
wide net.
wider net for this episode. That's in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
down 17th Street Causeway, right there in the Intercoastal near the Port Everglades Inlet.
Yeah, it's a famous marina. It's been around for, I think 50 plus years. But they just renovated it in the last 2-3 years. Brand new hotel there. And they're fantastic people that work there. Megan, who's in charge of the marina, showed interest in the IGFA, giving back locally to the community in Fort Lauderdale, us
Mhm.
being a Fort Lauderdale-based organization. But also what you have there at that marina is, a large group of, I want to say, uneducated is not the right term, because it implies that, somebody isn't doing something right, but just a lot of people that boat but don't
Mhm.
necessarily fish. And we saw an opportunity for us to kind of kickstart this program. The ultimate goal of this program is to, make it worldwide, have it exist, not only in-person seminars, but also online as well, where, a lot of what we've done in the past is youth education. It's been our focus, and it's a very important part of what we do. But we also want to start to shift the focus to adult education as well, because if you can educate adults, then, those adults can then educate children, and it kind of is like a snowball effect. Nick DeGenero, I'm the angler recognition manager, our education manager. He's put together a great program where it kind of walks you through a step-by-step basis in the classroom, specific to the fishing that you're going to do that day or wherever you are. So for example, down here in South Florida, he teaches kite fishing. So it's 2-hour seminar, and I've been to 2 of them so far. every single person in that room has never kite fished before, right?
Mhm.
And so he's sitting there and he's walking through every aspect of it: how to fly the kite, significance of why we're flying a kite, how to, rig the baits, how to manage the spread, and he walks you through step by step how to do that. And then you go from the classroom straight onto the boat, and you go out on a 4-hour trip, and they caught a sailfish last time. Hopefully they're reeling in a sailfish right now as we're speaking.
Right.
But what it does is it allows us to kind of go above that original, youth education where you're teaching the very bare bone basics of fishing, and you try and kind of, I don't want to use the term like hook an adult into it, you know what I mean? But you give them a little bit more responsibility in terms of you're learning more detailed aspects of what we're doing here.
Mhm.
And then the best part of it for me is to see somebody physically practice something and then go out and do it immediately, right? Like
Right.
if you're learning how to skate, or that's a good analogy, but like if you learn how to do something, you want to understand the basics of it, but you also want to go out and do it. That's the only way you're going to get better, is to physically go out and do
Yeah,
it.
you
So
want to achieve.
yeah,
You
so
know?
you can sit in
Yeah.
a classroom all you want and they can tell you this is how you do this, but
Yeah.
unless you can take it, absorb it, and go out and actually do it. So the ideal goal, I don't want to speak for him.
The skating was a good analogy. You're
Yeah,
right, because if you look at like my son with the Learn to Skate program, he's not going to be satisfied until he gets a stick in his hands and starts playing hockey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was the same. I learned how to skate when I was 5. We're going off the rails here. I learned how to skate when I was 5.
What rails?
I guess I learned how to skate when I was 5, and
We have rails.
before I learned how to stop, I was like learning how to skate. So I would just skate as fast as I could into the boards, jump into the boards to stop myself,
Yeah.
and then just keep going the other direction. And it wasn't until like I probably did that for like 3 or 4 weeks at these lessons, and then finally someone was like, "Here's how you stop," and I had to go out and do it and practice it, and then I was able to do it.
Right.
But I have distinct memories of just being like, if I just go as fast as I can, if I need to stop, I'll just jump into the boards. My parents must not have been happy about that part of it, but yeah, but it worked out.
How often are they doing these sessions? At
I think right now they're doing them once a month.
Okay.
And you can sign up yourself if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
You can come down, sign up for the class, you take it. I know we'd love to have you come check it out just to
No,
see it.
I'm going to try to cover the next one. Yeah.
Not that I know you need the education, but it's cool to see.
No, I want to come. I
yeah.
want to come check out the program.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. He does
Any excuse to hang out with my IGFA buddies.
Yeah,
so.
and he does a really great job teaching the class too. I mean, he's very good. It takes a certain level of patience. I'd like to think I have it too, to kind of work through something that you've done thousands of times with someone who's never done it before.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it takes a certain level of patience. He has it. But I think ultimate goal of the program is to expand, internationally, but throughout the U.S. as well with, we have IGFA captains, we have IGFA ambassadors, people that we trust, understand our rules, and also understand, the values that we hold.
Right.
And the goal would be for him to kind of make it so that they can start teaching the class locally. And, anything like that's the point we were making just a few minutes ago, anything we can do to continue the education of angling rules and what we do, why we
Right.
do it, conservation, is going to slowly start to, change some people's perspectives on things and kind of bring everyone as a whole into the fold. So every aspect of what we do at the IGFA, I think is, important and effective, but I'm very, impressed by what he's done with this. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a big thing for us. So
I can't wait to go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So head on over to IGFA.org.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be on there under our education page. Pier 66 is advertising as well too. And I gave them a plug. They're fantastic over
We should
there.
bring Mike on the show.
Yeah, she would love it. Yeah, and
You want to
she's
come? She should come on. She should come on the show and
Yeah,
talk
she'd
about
be
it.
great. And she's
And
like
talk,
us.
and talk about the new Pier 66.
Yeah,
because they've
exactly.
done great show, great stuff
Yep.
with that.
And she's like us. We could start talking and it would just go. Like,
Yeah, good.
that's how
All right.
she is. So no, she's great. But yeah, and it's interesting that you have an area like that where predominantly, mega yachts, motor yachts, sailboats, things like that, pleasure boats. We've got a few fishy people in there now, and
Mhm.
it's starting to permeate. Like most of the guests that he's had, the first 2 trips have been mates on mega yachts, tenders from international. I believe we had somebody from Australia last time, and this time we had people from England there today.
Oh, nice.
And they've never fished offshore a day in their
Right.
life. So you're taking them from, an environment that they're used to being in, right? But you're teaching them something completely different. And
Yeah.
the look on their faces today even was, why you do it. They were like, this is incredible. I can't wait to go out there and do it. So, and then I'm sure, when we're done today, I'm going to hear about how great the day was. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I like that you're bringing up the Australia and the England thing. I mean, it's a global experience, the IGFA.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No, and we've got, we've representatives throughout the world, and
I would love to see this happen. Like,
Yeah.
put one in Australia, put one in
Exactly.
other spots.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like, for me, I'm one guy, right? And I sit in that records office, and if anybody anywhere in the world catches a fish, they're calling me and they're asking me about it. But, there's certain countries where English isn't the first language, and our representatives are vital to us being able to communicate with the community, right? So if you have an IGFA representative in a country where English isn't the first language and somebody catches a record fish, they can reach out to the representative and say, hey, what's the process? And, that person can help walk them through it. And I think that that's, again, super valuable for us to have that wide net and have that international reach. To be honest, like the IGFA internationally is held in super high regard, and it's something that I wasn't,
sure it is.
but it's something that I wasn't aware of when I started working,
because you're only 31.
Yeah. So I start, well, no, so, if I went up to a kid and I say kid, like, somebody, a fisherman on a boat, somebody who knows what the IGFA is, right? But in South Florida, and was like, hey, I work at the IGFA, be like, oh, it's super cool, man. Like, yeah, I know what you guys do. But if when I talk to people internationally, Japan, Australia, Egypt, we have people in Egypt, they're like, oh my God, the IGFA, you guys are fishing. So for us, that's super cool because it means we have that impact globally, which, it just is going to help us continue to push our mission. The fact that we already have that impact on the community. It is a slippery slope though, because then there'll be certain things that we do that are, I would argue, I guess this is going into detail, but like from my perspective, right, like we have IGFA trophy clubs, grand slams. We have a ton of programs that allow angler recognition, locally in certain regions for various species. And an IGFA world record is a very serious application. You need to make sure everything's filled out correctly, and everything's presented. But for a trophy club, for example, our only requirements really are a photo of the angler with the fish and a detailed application filled out. And I have people, from different parts of the world, take it like they're sending in a trophy club application like it's a world record. They're sending me blind samples.
Oh, really?
They're writing
and they don't really
written testimonies. Yeah, and they don't really need to, which is fine. It is fine. I'd rather them do it that way than the other way around.
Yeah, better to have than have not.
But it does show me, it gives me a little bit of perspective, like how seriously they view our organization in their, how it's viewed locally by the people that are fishing there, that, whatever they're going to send us, they want to make sure is as legitimate as they can, which again, it's better that way than the other way around, but does make me chuckle sometimes when I get some stuff in and I'm like, you don't have to go that crazy, but I'm glad you did. But yeah,
you don't have to send me your pliers.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah. No.
Speaking of globally, right, and we'll talk about tournaments right now because you just got back from Costa Rica, so there's a couple of tournaments. One just happened and one coming up. They're not even domestic tournaments.
No, international. Yeah,
IGFA is a South Florida-based operation, but these two big tournaments are one's in Bahamas and one's in Costa Rica that you just came from. So tell me about the Costa Rica tournament.
I'm immensely proud of it. It's something I grew up fishing tournaments in the Northeast. We talked about that, first time I was on, and I've just gravitated towards tournament angling. When I was a younger kid, that was my dream. It still is. If I can, depending on how chips fall in the next, 20, 30 years of this, doing this type of stuff, if I somehow win the lottery or anything, you're not going to see where you will see me is just running fishing tournaments every other weekend. Cause I love the concept. I love getting people together.
You're going to be applying for world records.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. But, so I am very passionate about it. I have the opportunity to work with a lot of tournaments through our IGFA tournament relations program. But, on top of all that, to be able to put on tournaments, as a tournament director, it's an honor for me. We just had our IGFA Open in Costa Rica. I flew back on Sunday. We had 30 boats fish a tournament this year. It's out of Marina Pezzavella and Capos. 1,206 billfish released in 2 days of fishing. Yeah, which 30 boats. It's an average of
1,206.
1,206 billfish. Yeah, 11
out of 30 boats.
Out of 30 boats, 1,198 sailfish, and then we had 8 blue marlin. And it's just
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and what we've been able to do down there is we've been able to collect what I would argue is the upper echelon of sport fishing boats global. Not I would say these teams, because these are teams that fish the Atlantic Circuit. They travel. But we have Galati down there, which is Viking. Fish Tank was a big team down there. They're another Viking boat. The team that won was
the team that won
was Pura Vida, and they fished every
they're a
single
local boat in Costa Rica, though, aren't they?
Yeah. I believe they're from Florida up here, but yeah, they've been doing great this year.
Back in Business was there too, weren't they?
Yep. Robert Collins.
Yeah, Robert Collins.
Yeah, he fished
the 2-time Fish for Holly champion.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
No, and it's the thing about that is you have this upper echelon of teams fishing, and they care about the work that we're doing as an organization, not just the success of the tournament or how they're going to place in the tournament. And they have competitive nature to them, and they treat it, fishing a tournament by full IGFA angling rules, which means no hook in hand, is a challenge for teams, because in most of these tournaments you're allowed to hook in hand one time, and so you miss some fish. It's frustrating. And these teams, I mean, on day one, it wasn't fish, but points wise, Galati had like 4,800 points, and Tar Heel had 4,700, which I think Galati had a blue marlin, but you're talking about over 40, 44, 45 sailfish just on one day of fishing per team, which is just it's insane fishing. You're not really going to find that anywhere else in the world for billfish in a tournament aspect. But
I remember my first time down back in Costa Rica was, I don't know, over a decade ago. And I heard those numbers being caught. It was for down there for another tournament, and I'm like, that's unreal.
Yeah, the crazy part about it too is somebody's got to watch all those video releases, and that's me, Dave Garcia on CatchStat, and the team down there bringing up as well. So
think about that.
Yeah, I've been down there for a few tournaments. I've spent some late nights. We were able to do it pretty effectively this year. I was pretty impressed with our performance. I think we wrapped up.
Your eyes must have been bugging out, though.
Yeah, it gets to be a lot. I think we wrapped up around like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it was like a good solid 5 hours, 4.5 hours of review and video. But
working hard, Zach.
I mean, listen, if you could have told me when I was 17, 18, like if somebody's going to pay you to sit and watch people catch sailfish for 5 hours, I'd be like, it sounds like a pretty good 5 hours.
Right,
so you can't really complain.
All right.
But no, the tournament's fantastic. The teams, like I said, they did a fantastic job with the fishing. But not only that, it's like the atmosphere there is incredible. The positive energy.
It really is a special place.
And people working with each other. You see guys getting off boats. Everyone smiles. It's not really, sometimes in the South Florida sailfish circuit, you see a little bit of like, competitiveness that turns into like aggression. None of that down there. Everything was positive. And from my perspective as a tournament director, like that's my goal for that tournament is I don't want people to think in any IGFA tournament, I don't want people thinking, like when they're looking at their schedule, like, oh, I got to go down and do that IGFA tournament next week to benefit the organization. You know what I mean? I want them to be like, I get to go hang out with my friends, fish this really cool tournament, and it also benefits a great organization. It's not just the fact that you're helping conservation education and you're helping an organization. It's the fact that you get to go compete at a high level and have a great time doing it. And for us, I know I can speak for everyone else in the office, like every single person that came up to us down there, incredibly positive with what they had to say about the tournament, but also us as an organization. And for me, that goes a long way. Like if you have people coming up to you being like, we love the work that you guys are doing, when I also know that they're having fun at the same time, it's perfect scenario.
I mean, listen, it broke my heart not to be there. I
need you down there next year.
Supposed to go with you guys. I'm going to go down next year.
I got a spot.
I promise. I know I've said these things on the show before, but that is one I really, really have to go to. Especially since you guys are like texting me, oh, where are you?
I blame Adrian.
Making fun of me, like, where are you at, Dennis? To showing me like a Costa Rican sunset. Yeah. And I'm getting texts and videos from like other people that are actually fishing the tournament too. I'm like, oh my God. I was showing my wife, I'm like, I got another one. I'm like, I really need to be there.
Oh, it's a great it's a great event. It's a great place. The staff down there at Marina Pez Vela is second to none. I mean, you can pick that marina up and put it anywhere in the world, and I'd be hard pressed to find a staff that works harder and more efficiently than they do down there.
You ever get a chance to get out and do any fun stuff while you're down there? Or you just all work?
When I do the IGFA Open, I'm all work. I treat it like almost, I played college football. I treat it almost like I'm getting ready for a game where like going into it, it's just practice. I'm running through, making sure everything's good to go. And then in the moment, I'm happy that, everyone else is enjoying themselves and I'm, I'm in the game basically.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I had a pretty cool moment. I haven't really like thought about it too much, but it just came into my head. Like we obviously went down and Dave from CatchStat, we have optional jackpots now in these tournaments. It's separate from the IGFA aspect of it, so he manages that. And so we were down there writing them for the winners that took home the dailies and the overalls. And we were walking up to start the award ceremony, and the way the Marina Pez Vela is set up is we're down below. And it's on an elevated platform, where it's a pavilion, and we had the award ceremony under there. So we're kind of walking up the staircase with the checks. He's got the checks and the trophies and stuff. And there was like strobe lights and flashing music. I felt like I was walking out of the tunnel like before a game. I was getting fired up. I started getting chills. I was like, basically, and the music was playing here, and I was coming up, and I was like, this is what it's all about. So I like stopped for a quarter of a second. And I was like, this is awesome. And I went out and we did the awards.
I heard from everybody that the tournament was just huge success, phenomenal
for us,
tons of fun.
For us as an organization, it's incredibly, the support that we receive from the people participating in the event is fantastic, and it does a lot to help us out as an organization. And the feedback that we've received in just a short period of time after it is, that they had a great time too. That's the perfect scenario, and the goal here now is to hopefully continue that. We have our IGFA Walker's Cay shootout coming up here,
Right.
April
Yep.
22nd to 26th. It's over in Walker's Cay.
Nice
And that,
segue.
yeah, and I'm practicing those, but the cool part about it is like it's two separate events in terms of like really I'd like to think top destinations for fishing, right? Like
Right.
Capos, Costa Rica is fantastic sailfish fishing, and Walker's Cay has so much history, right? And so to get over there where they've done a great job rebuilding the marina. It's state of the art. Obviously, the physical marina itself, there's not a lot of accommodations on the island. So if you are planning
Right.
to go, and you do
Right.
need to stay on your boat, but it's a completely different scenario where down in Costa Rica we have the marina, everyone's coming together, and kind of there's a lot of camaraderie, right? But down at Walker's, there has to be camaraderie. It's basically like you and we had 17 boats fish it last year. Our goal is obviously increase those numbers this year. Imagine you and 20 to 25 of your friends just going camping.
Yeah, I was
That's
just
really
about
the
to say it's like
atmosphere.
the best
Yeah.
form of camping you could ever
That's really
do.
the atmosphere of the
Yeah.
tournament. And Ryan Edwards from Walker's Cay, their team, he does a fantastic job.
Mhm.
He's kind of the tournament director for that tournament, setting everything up. And we have we call it like an island style tournament, right? So
Yeah.
there's catered food, it's a pavilion, and the open bar. And everyone each day of fishing's coming up, because what are you going to do? Sit on your boat, and then you're going to come up and hang out
Yeah,
with everyone else
for
and
sure.
talk about the day. It's a really unique place. That was the first time I ever been there was last year for our first year doing
Mhm.
the tournament, and like you really do feel like you're out there, because you really are on the edge of the Atlantic. There's nothing else past you until Bermuda. So
Yeah, that's crazy when you're out there in the Abacos and you just look out and you're like, that's it, man.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thought I had. So and for us too, we have, again, we're promoting IGFA rules. It's the IGFA rules tournament, no hook in hand, and you have two separate groups of teams, right? Tournament circuits. You have the Costa Rica circuit. All those guys are down there. They fish the Los Sueños tournaments. They fish the Capos tournaments, and we're kind of tapping in up here now to the guys that fish the South Florida sailfish circuit,
Mhm.
and then go to the Bahamas for the April, May, June tournaments over there. And so it's nice for us to interact with two different groups of very similar
Right.
people, very similar boats, similar teams doing the same thing, but it puts us in front of them in two different places, and it allows us to get our message across. And likewise to what we experienced just last week in Capos, the message over there too is very positive. I know that we the people that fished that tournament in Walker's last year do a great deal to support our IGMR billfish tagging program too.
Mhm.
So we saw a lot of familiar faces there from that. It's a great thing. The IGFA was out of tournaments for a period of time, and we're kind of slowly coming back into them. We had our light tackle tournament here in South Florida that we, ultimately moved to Costa Rica. And now with the implementation of this Walker's Cay event, I mean, it's really, for me, I think it's a big deal for the organization to kind of gain relevancy, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, the whole rebirth of Walker's Cay in general is just absolutely massive. It really is. And the fact that the IGFA is involved with that rebirth is just fitting.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, like, yeah, absolutely. It's just when I heard you guys were doing a Walker's tournament, like, I went, yeah, that just makes complete sense. You know what I mean? And, I recently had the opportunity to be at a banquet where Carl Allen was speaking, and I got to hear him tell the story of his moments with Flip Pallet
Yeah.
in resurrecting walkers and what he went through and what he did and the convincing that he had to do with Flip, and
Oh, I believe
because
it,
it was
yeah.
kind of essential, I think, to have Flip's involvement.
Yeah, he spent so
Um,
much time over there.
yeah, with bringing that back, and just to hear the story from him and the emotional aspect
yeah.
of it, because really the place is historical, modernly
Yeah.
speaking, and it's just magic.
Yeah,
It really is.
When we were over there, I know we're going to do it again this year. We even just did it in Costa Rica. When we're done as like a tournament team, like IGFA staff, when we're done with whatever we have to do that day, whether it was checking videos or registration or anything, we go back to wherever we're staying and we watch old Flip episodes
Mhm.
from over in Walker's.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just
nice.
watch, because I mean they're timeless. Like you just go back and watch them, and
Yeah.
just some of the outfits in those episodes. I was like, we got to start wearing stuff like that again.
It's funny you bring up timeless. They said, again, every episode, it never fails. I'm able to draw a parallel between art and fishing,
Oh yeah.
right? And they say, how's the term go? It's a good design works. Great design is timeless.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel that way
And it's
about
the same thing about fishing.
I feel that way about the stuff you do, though. You know what I mean? Like the prints you do and stuff. Like I would say, and again, we're friends, but
Yeah.
and you've heard me say this on the phone, the stuff that you do, the tournament artwork that you do, I've never seen anything like it in terms of the quality. And
I appreciate you saying
no,
that.
and
Really,
like,
I do.
what you've done for our tournaments, every single shirt that I have had, you know, and not just, you know, tournaments I work with that I know you do, every single one, it's unique. And I know, you know, you have a style, right? So I can tell it's yours, but like it's a unique piece each time. And I get worried when I get these. I wear them fishing because I love your shirts too. So they get blood on them. I get worried because I'm like, I want the shirt forever. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I want the
That's
artwork
awesome.
and stuff too. And the prints that you do, I think, are the coolest thing as a tournament trophy. Because again, I'd love, you know, a trophy's great. Everyone wants a trophy when they're, you know, when they win something. Everyone wants an award, but you know, it is a sculpture in its own right, and it's impressive. But to have the print with that year's tournament artwork and to be able to hang that on your wall in your office, and you can always look back at it, and you not only remember what you did, right, in terms of what you won, but the artwork specific each year, unique to, you know, you created each year. So like for me, I choose that over the trophy every time.
I appreciate you saying that. That really does mean a lot. You know, we listen, we don't really actually hardly ever talk about artwork or my artwork on the show and everything like that. So I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up. But I will just say this: we work really hard at that, and our relationships and building brands, and building an identity for these tournaments, or the custom boats that we do. You know, we always say that when we work with like a large sport fish, because we generally only like when it comes to like our custom stuff, it's like the larger tournament center consoles and the larger sport fish is really kind of like our swim lane that we like to stay in. But just merely because we manage accounts with those people, you know, and it's not like we're just banging out some shirt designs and everything like that. Like we're working with those people and we foster those relationships, and you know, it brings deeper meaning to me for the artwork, you know, and that's why we do it, because I want, you know, I want people to feel like they're coming to me for a reason, and that reason is what I hope it to be. You know what I mean? Is that they want the best artwork they could possibly have, and they want excellence in it, and we try to deliver excellence every time. That's all I can say about it.
Listen, I 100%, I can see where you're coming from. I agree, and I think it goes a long way. You know what I mean?
Thank
and
you.
especially in that world too. Like, you know, it's definitely comes through. But again, like I don't want to besmirch trophies. I like trophies a lot, and there's some great people that make trophies out there. But to just have a piece of artwork that is also a trophy, to me, I just think is so cool.
Well, to us, it makes sense for the brand, right? We're building a brand for the tournament, and when people win, when you want to hang that on so people can remember your tournament, maybe nothing against fish sculpture trophies and different things like that, because they're beautiful works of art, but it doesn't really speak necessarily to your specific tournament.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And and if anybody out there's watching this that is also planning on hosting a tournament, give Dennis a call, because that's my plug. It trust me, people are going to enjoy them, and you're going to enjoy them too. So.
Thank you. Now you've made me completely lost track of the episode.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
As if we had a track.
Yeah, no. I mean, the tournament thing for me, because I was thinking about this on the drive up here. Like, I always wanted to be involved in this somehow, and I even joked about, you know, a little bit earlier, like, if you gave me $10 million right now, all you'd see me is just having a boat running and fishing tournaments.
Right.
Like, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to have it. There's something about having a group of people together, a team, and, you know, traveling with them, doing, you know, it takes me back to when I played sports, and that's really what I think a lot of people will constantly strive for, is you want to be part of a team. You know, we have that at the IGFA. We have a fantastic team. It's all about, you know, the sense of camaraderie. So I always knew I'd be.
Well, that's really connected by water.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what our philosophy is all about. Is that community aspect of it. Yeah. That's really, if you want to like put it like in like a one phrase thing, connected by water is community. Yeah. Right. It really, it's like, yes, it's art. Yes, it's fishing. Yes, it's all these different things. You know what I mean? But that's part of the community.
Yeah, it's vital, I think, in the world of fishing too. Yeah. But I knew I'd always be involved in tournaments in some way. But I got the ability to start, you know, working with tournaments through Dave Garcia from Catch-That, who, you know, I'd love to
Dave.
have him on.
He's such a cool guy.
Too. He'd be a great guest.
Yeah.
Because what he's doing in that specific, what he's doing for the world of tournaments with his scoring system is, people are going to look back 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and be like, that was it. That we create everything we do now
He's such a good dude, like such a great
Oh,
dad,
yeah.
such a hardworking guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But really just so super sweet and nice.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
similar to you and I think that's why we get along great, and you and I get
Yeah.
along great. Like I said, if you find the people that are very passionate about this world, they tend to be pretty good people. But he gave me the opportunity to start helping him out with some tournaments, and it became a no-brainer from an IGFA perspective to also have us there, because a lot of these tournaments implement IGFA rules. So we created the IGFA Tournament Relations Program, which allows me to either be at a tournament or provide assistance to a tournament to help. We have IGFA tournament guides. They're small booklets of a condensed version of our angling rules. And it allows us to, help teams that are participating in an event learn more about IGFA rules and help them win, you know what I mean? And at the same time, it allows us to help tournaments if they have to make a specific ruling that may be a little difficult for them because it's a specific IGFA rule or not. We're always available, for them to reach out and say, hey, here's what happened. How would you call this, right? So I make the joke a lot of times when I'm at these events, not the one, at the IGFA Open or not Walker's Cable. When I'm at these events, I'm always like a referee.
Right.
Like I'm always there in the sideline, like, we're going to go to Zach for the video review. And I'm always
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, nope, yeah, okay, nope, you see right here, that's the problem. That's illegal. Yes.
That's got to be a pretty cool feeling, being like the last line of defense on something like that.
Cool, stressful.
Yeah, that's true.
Stressful. And I mean, I'm very confident when I'm there because, we've done it so many times. And stressful is not the right term. I would view it almost more like, you could see it come, like if you have to make a disqualification because of an IGFA rule, it's not, no tournament director ever wants to do that, but it's reality. It's why we set the rules, because everybody's playing by the rules.
Right.
So, you wouldn't allow a guy to travel in basketball and then score and just be like, well, let's just let it slide.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works.
Boston, they do, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll talk about that. But yeah, so for us to have these rules, I mean, it is important to keep it fair. It's the toughest conversations I either have to have our tournament director, and same with records, is when you say, hey, your fish is disqualified. You know what I mean? Interestingly enough, when I was at the IGFA Open, I'm, reviewing all the video, I disqualified one fish in the whole tournament, and it was for the winning team.
No.
It was for the winning team, and it didn't affect, they still won, but they had one less sailfish than they would have had. And, that goes to show you can have an incredible performance. And it wasn't an issue. They didn't violate any rules. With those sailfish tournaments, we have to visibly see the sailfish to count it as a sailfish release.
Right.
Or we don't know, you could be hooked up to something else, a tuna or, bead or something like that. So
we had Brick and Quentin on the previous episode, right? And Brick told me
those two guys together in the same.
Yeah, we had
it
was a great episode. Yeah. I just launched it this morning. But Brick told me that this past tournament was like the first time he's ever experienced someone called in and disqualified their own fish.
Yeah, you know what? So
right?
Yeah,
tell me about that.
No, well, I wasn't there for.
You weren't there for that one,
but Robert Collins did that in Costa Rica.
He did
back in business. Yeah, and he's, just an exceptional angler.
Robert Collins is great.
Yeah,
he's such a great guy.
Yeah, and he's a great guy all around, and he's been very supportive of me as a tournament director in these tournaments. He cares about the success of that IGFA Open in Costa Rica, which goes a long way. You really don't see that often where somebody participating in something truly.
Those were the
cares
guys like sending me videos like
the
whole
great.
time.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Because I know Bernard was fishing.
Yeah, Bernard primarily.
Yeah. But so he had one where I think it was Bernard's fish. We just never saw it on video, and he said he texted me and he said, take a look, see if you can see it yourself, but we're going to remove that fish at 10:27 because I don't see it on video. Funny enough,
I could absolutely see Bernard doing that.
Oh yeah,
like nope.
Yeah,
it doesn't count. I didn't get it.
So funny enough, I mean, I've watched. I do the Pelagic Rockstar down there. I do Jimmy Johnson up here. I've watched. I don't want to throw numbers out there, but like 50,000 videos in the last 3 years of people releasing sailfish, and it's got to be close to that.
You've watched 50,000 sailfish release videos?
If it's not that, it's 30 or 40. But
that's still
I mean,
10 grand's a lot.
We do. I mean, so the Pelagic tournament, we did 2,600 fish in 2 days of fishing, and we've done that 3 years in a row. My tournament now we've done over 1,000 2 years in a row. They just add up. Jimmy Johnson's usually around 1,000.
Yeah,
and it just stacks on top of each other. And you do one tournament after the other.
That's crazy.
If it's for the purposes of for the purposes of longevity, because this will be out there forever. If it's lower than that for me personally, but let's say it's closer to like 15 for me, I guarantee you Dave has seen 50 for sure. Garcia from Catch by far.
He's got to review all of them.
Yeah, we always sit there and we watch them. I mean, it's part of the game. I mean, it's I enjoy it, because you get to see, you're sitting in a radio room all day and you're hearing, sailfish release fish team, and then you get to see what they did. And I love interacting with the teams, right? So when they come hand me the video and they're standing in front of me, I'm watching through the video. I'm like, oh, you guys had a great day today. You know, I like the back and forth. Being like, oh, look this one, and like, oh, is that the one that was really lit up? I'm like, yeah, it's this cool video. You should save that. Like, and for me, that back and forth, it goes a long way because they had fun out there, right? And I don't want them to come back in and not continue to have fun. You know, if you have to make a tough call as a tournament director, you have to make a tough call. But you know, I don't want that process of reviewing the videos to be like a scary thing. You know, it should be, you know, something where, you know, you need to make sure everything counts, right? But at the same time, if they did their job out there, and you're doing your job watching, it should be a seamless process for everyone.
It's a really good outlook on it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm sure not everybody has that same outlook on it. Everyone could be like, don't talk to me. I can't have a relationship with you. I'm the one reviewing this.
I can't speak for Brick. Definitely can't speak for Brick. Can't speak for Dave. Brick is definitely that way where he's like, I got to go watch this. But, yeah, I like talking to people. But funny enough, we were watching the videos and Adrian was helping us out because we were, you know, trying to get it done. He hasn't watched a ton of videos before.
Well, Adrian Gray, the future guest that's going to be on the show soon.
And he was sitting next to me for that fish for Back in Business for Robert's fish. And I didn't tell him that I was going through doing 100 other videos. So he's like, I can't find this fish in this video. And I was like, is that 1027? He's like, yeah, there's no fish.
1027?
And I was like, don't worry. Robert already texted me. Like, if you don't see it, we don't see it. He doesn't see it. He's okay with removing it. And Hadrian's like, I was so scared. I didn't see it. I was like,
really?
Yeah, because you never know.
So I guess that's a good way to check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
See it.
Yeah. So, you know, it worked out great. But yeah, you talk about integrity, especially, which I think is very important in that sport, in tournament fishing, is especially as a captain or, you know, a team, for example, you have to have integrity, and, you know, your name should carry weight. You need someone that his name carries weight, and it's because he does stuff like that. He's honorable, and he's able to, you know, say, hey, we didn't see this fish, we're not going to count it. You know, and I'd rather.
That's great. That's great to hear that. Yeah. I'm proud to say that we do all their custom work and stuff like that. So it's a really, really great group to work with.
Yeah, and as a tournament director, like, I can say I appreciated it. I guarantee you, if someone's listening to this, if you find yourself in that situation in the future, a tournament director will appreciate and hold you in higher regard if you come to them and say, hey, I'm unsure of this, or, you know what I mean, versus trying to sneak something by. You know, that's never the way to go.
Well, it's a sport. Yeah. And that's sportsmanship.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll get that anywhere across the board, like in the hockey, baseball, football, basketball, whatever like that. If you show respect to the refs. Yeah. And Michael Jordan was like the best at it, right?
Yeah,
schmoozing the refs and getting relationships. That's why he got all the calls.
Yeah, and his captain, Stetson, they fished our tournament too.
Not I'm saying you need to schmooze Zach to get all the calls.
It won't work, but you could try it. No, but his team's great. His captain, the boat fished. He didn't fish, but the boat fished our tournament too, and they're always you know top of the line. We had down there. And I want to keep going. I'm fresh off it. I'm excited.
It's fine. No, I want you to talk about it.
We just had a group.
That's part of the reason we're like, let's do this now, right? When you got back from Costa Rica.
We just had a group of, I would argue, 30 of like the best boats in the world, best teams. And, you know, it was like they showed out, if that makes any sense. You know, like if you get a good finals, a good Stanley Cup finals, a good NHL finals, like two teams or NBA finals where you're like, I just want to see LeBron and Steph Curry play against each other.
Right. It's like the Four Nations or the Olympics with Canada versus USA. You don't get better hockey than that.
And so the goal is
watching that's different than watching a regular NHL game.
The goal is you want them to get together and play, but you also want it to be an incredible game. And I feel like that's what we had with this tournament. We had the teams together, right? And then they went out there and caught an insane number of billfish across, you know, a very small fleet. Mm-hmm. And it was like, again, none of anything I do in this industry is lost on me because I grew up admiring it. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there in that moment being like, this is very cool. You know, it's not, I always take the time in the moment when I'm doing this stuff to be like, the fact that I'm here and able to do this is incredible. I'm, you know, privileged to do so. And what we're doing here as a whole is incredible for the sport. And
nice.
You know, and
speaking of very cool, right? So tell me about what's the coolest like record or story that you've heard recently that the IGFA's had to deal with?
We've had a lot of cool stuff. The thing for me recently, which I plugged last time I was here, and it's been great, is we have a ton of junior records. We opened up the junior line class.
Right. Yeah, we did talk a lot about the kids programs and the junior records last time.
And now we've had a full year of them doing it. And they're still very much open and available too. So again, if
Okay.
anyone out there has kids under the age 16 and under that, are interested in potentially getting into IGFA world record fishing, the time is still now to do
What
it.
one do you see that's just hanging there that you think someone needs to grab?
It's insane. There's too many to count, which is not,
Okay.
that's not negative because we've gotten a lot of records.
What's the one
from
you're
some-
like, damn, that one's just sitting there. I'm surprised no one's snagged that one yet.
I don't want to like, give it away, but
Come on.
like largemouth bass, for example, like
Yeah.
is basically wide open. I'm pretty sure
Really?
it's like 6 pound, 8 pound tip line class. All the fly records are open, but I think like might be two. I don't want to misspeak because I think maybe we have one for the 4. But I think 2 through 20 is wide open. So you
Like
can
I
do
want
that.
some kid's dad to
You
like
could do that
listen to this
today.
and be like,
Yeah, you can do that today.
Let's-
in a
we're
pond.
going bass
you
fishing.
can go walk in. Yeah, you can go walk down the
Yeah.
street to the pond and you catch a like a 3 pound bass on 6 pound test line and submit it for an IGFA world record right now, which is unheard of. Like in terms of the history of bass records as a whole, right? There's
Right.
really never been an opportunity like there is now to get some sort of recognition for what many would argue is a nice fish, especially if you're a junior angler. Like if you're catching 4 pound bass on 8 pound tests, 6 pound bass on 12
Great
pound
catch.
tests, that's a nice.
that's a great
fish
catch for me.
for a kid. And so to be able to get some recognition
is.
for that, and to get some recognition for that, I mean, if you look at the adult bass records right now, they're 16, 17, 18 pound fish. People won't see those fish in their lifetime.
Right.
And people that do that we're sitting here talking about offshore tournament fishing. There's people that wake up every single day, bass fish, and won't see a fish like that in their
Right.
lifetime. So I've gone back and forth when we did the the updated science on the black bass species and we adjusted around Florida bass and that whole thing 2 years ago. A lot of the sentiment that I got back from that community, from the higher ups in that community, is the lack of record availability and the fact that if we were to make certain decisions one way or another, we'd create new records for adults. We ultimately decided to stay away from that based off of
So you're not going to classify Florida bass?
No, well, I don't want to. We're opening a can of worms. But so what we did.
Okay, all right.
No, it's fine. What we did.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
No. What we did 2 years ago, the discovery of Florida bass as a unique species came out, right? And us as the IGFA acknowledged them as a unique species like we do with every other species of fish. If it's a scientifically identifiable species, there's a record for it, all tackle world record. And the concern and confusion with it was they're almost indistinguishable from northern largemouth bass, which is now, their counterparts basically. So the only way to be able to tell the difference is a genetic test. So we lump them together for our line class record. So if you catch a bass that looks like a bass, everything you've ever been taught your whole life, that's a largemouth bass.
Largemouth, yeah.
It's still a largemouth bass for our records, whether it's a Florida or northern bass. We've
Right.
put the two species together for line class records.
I
Now,
don't want to move the goalposts, I guess.
that's
really.
the biggest thing. And,
Yeah.
and for us, a lot of what we do, and I always say this with our records, is, it wouldn't necessarily, it's twofold, right? They wanted us to adjust, for example, the 2 all tackle world records. One's from Georgia from the 1920s, and then the other one was caught in Japan. Now, interestingly enough, some people got very passionate about the one that was caught in Japan. They were able to get a skin mount from Yamaha. They were able to do DNA sampling on the skin mount, genetic tests, and the genetic test proved that was a Florida bass. So
Come on.
so we've adjusted that. It's now our Florida bass all tackle record. And a lot of the thought process was they're like, let's do the same thing for
The
one
Florida bass that was not caught in Florida.
Yeah, that is a week again, a full other episode.
Yeah.
I have some friends, Dr. Andrew Taylor from Georgia, he works with us. He would tell you the biggest issue with that aspect of the science of the bass is that people for 30, 40 years took bass from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and they said, our bass grow bigger. Let's ship them to you and your bass will grow bigger. So they shipped them to Japan. They shipped them to California.
Right.
What they found out was their bass were growing bigger because they were a different species of bass. They were Florida bass and not northern largemouth. And so they've now interbreeded in the DNA aspect, the genetic aspect of it is very jumbled up. So for us, for our records, we don't want to force somebody for a line class record to go through the process of having, we don't want to, harm the fish. You're allowed to catch and release for IGFA world records. So we don't want to have to make it so you have to go get a genetic test every time you want to submit a line class record.
Has anything changed for peacocks?
I'm working on it. We're still working on it. I actually do think that we're going to be able to do something coming up. We do have a project with roosterfish going on. I think we just wrapped up our Golden Dorado project. I've been pushing for it because selfishly from my office, it would make my life a lot easier to be able to, definitively say something about our bass. It's not my call at the end of the day. But
because obviously Rodrigo Salas's bass down there,
they're different.
That's not the same as what we're catching here.
The issue here with the peacocks is the butterfly peacock is the species. And they hold line class records based off the species, genus and species, right? So like what I was just talking about for the bass, right? Like the largemouth and Florida bass, we've combined two species together for the same line class record, but uniquely for most cases, we hold records for the species itself. So the peacocks, the butterfly peacocks, are from Venezuela originally, right? And that northern part of the Amazon. And they were, brought here from by FWC, stocked, and that's the fishery we have here today. The issue is they also brought two other small subset species of peacock bass from that area up here. And so they've, over a course of 30 to 40 years now, have, interbreeded to a degree where I think
It's
2017,
a new species, maybe.
that would be my thought process behind it. I don't want to speak on the IGFA's behalf from that aspect because, but Zack himself,
hybrid exotics.
I fully believe that, like, if you really dug down to it, did a full genetic test of like a giant subset of fish down here, you'd probably find out that enough has shifted where you can make them. I would love again, this is Zack Bellpinga talking, not
Resident
IGFA
fish
Zack.
nerd of the Connected by Water podcast.
Perfect world for Zack would be new species, Florida peacock bass. Call it that. That's what it is. You catch a peacock bass in Florida, they're genetically different from the ones down there.
That's a good point.
It makes it easier for everyone involved.
What do you even call the other peacocks?
The melanine is one.
Yeah.
The issue with the cichlid genus as a whole is there's just so many species. I think there's like
it's
20,
not a bass. Like that's the thing.
So,
like ultimately, right?
Yeah.
It's technically not a bass.
So
is that true or no?
I mean, cichlid is different genus than
No, I mean like the peacocks. Like we're called a peacock bass.
I mean, it's not scientifically. It's not a bass.
Scientifically,
you know what I mean, but I don't mind that side.
But socially, it's bass.
Yeah, I don't mind that side of it. More so than. Like, again, it would make everyone's life a lot easier up here if the issue is it's a full-scale genetic study that needs to be done, and that costs a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And from us as an IGFA perspective, that'd be a big lift for, again, I don't want this to sound negative, but we're a global organization, right? And so for us to focus, any money that we get from donors or anything, specifically given to our conservation department, to have it be focused on a very small region of the world, which is just Southeast Florida.
Right.
Is kind of, we want to make sure we're focusing our efforts on larger scale projects that impact more people.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
point
mean
well taken and point understood.
Yeah, somebody should take it on though.
Right.
If they're able to. University down here, FWC as a whole, and kind of like take it on, take the onus to do it themselves and get the answer.
I'm supposed to be talking to Rodney soon. Maybe I'll bring that up to him.
Yeah. Again, it's a selfish argument from my perspective because I just want people to be able to start catching records again in South Florida for peacock bass. I hate looking at a kid in his little eyes and telling him that's a really nice fish, but I can't accept it until we know what the
Yeah, and you listen, you got guys that are just dedicated to them. Like I love fishing for peacock bass. It's one of my favorite fish to go for. But you got guys that are like, especially like a lot of the quote unquote urban anglers down in Miami, like these guys in backpacks just walking banks. That's all they want. Or peacocks and snakeheads, but mostly peacock bass. They want a big peacock.
No, it's understandable. I think from a tourism perspective for the state, it's a very impactful species.
Yeah,
especially,
you get people
I would
coming
argue,
in just to catch them.
Yeah, I would argue if you get below like Okeechobee, I don't think there's a more impactful freshwater fish in the state. I mean, you'd argue, large amount, but I think that would be more so above northern Florida, where in terms of people coming in
and all that.
In terms of people coming in from out of state to fish it. I mean, if you think about like if you're freshwater fishing southwest or southeast Florida, it's somebody coming. I want to catch a peacock. So again, that's my pitch to whoever out there. Powers that be. If you want to take something on, it'd be cool to have an answer. I guess.
All right.
I get from their perspective because it's one of those things where like if it isn't broke, don't fix it. There's no we're calling them peacocks, but from a true science perspective, somebody has to it would help.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like with like the fish, the peacocks that are gotten caught in the Amazon are like monstrously larger than what's being caught here in Florida.
No,
why is it? It's a different
they're definitely well, the speckled peacocks in the Amazon themselves that's like if you talk about I'm going to the Amazon to catch a peacock bass, that's what they're fishing for. It's Temensis is the species name, and they're incredible fish. Get up to 30 pounds. I mean, they're true game fish. Not to say that these peacocks aren't.
Rodrigo's catching all those fly like
he's got it dialed in down there.
Such a great operation down there.
He's
untamed angling. Got to plug them.
I would highly recommend checking out the YouTube videos that they put together to promote. They're promoting their their organization down there, but they're some of the best videos I've seen for that fishery down there in terms of high quality footage of like fly fishing for tainted water or tannic water. It's just super cool. I've been down there. I've I've been asked several times. It's just
I'm supposed to go
running
down.
around.
Let's go. You want to go?
I'll go.
All
You, me, Adrian would be a heck of a
me, you, and
trip.
Adrian.
Get
That'd
him
be
to
great.
bring his
Yeah,
cameras.
John might want to come. You want to
He's
come?
coming? All right,
You want to come to the Amazon? Yeah. All right.
He'll film. Beautiful.
All right.
Yeah,
Then let's do that. Let's
yeah,
four of us
we know
go.
the right guy.
Yeah, that'd be a great trip.
Oh yeah.
Let's lock that down.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. All right.
I got a lot. See, now we can start opening up that because I got other places I want to go to. I'll go fish other places with you.
Yeah, the other places are good, but that
No,
I
that's a big
think
one.
there's a reason I think that we should target that. I'll tell you later.
Sure.
But so every episode, like one of the new things that we're going to be doing here on Connected by Water podcast, we're going to start calling it Connected by Water Show.
Yeah, I like it.
Right.
No, it's good. Yeah.
And is that we're going to feature a world record, a new world record, every episode. So I want to kind of just wrap up today by like going over some of the new things that we're going to be doing with the IGFA. Right?
Sure.
You're going to be coming on more, right?
Yeah.
You promise?
I
Right,
love
cool.
I love doing this. If you can't tell, I like
Yeah, no,
talking about this
it's
stuff.
great. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, listen, you do great on the show. I mean, we're friends, but you're just like this, you're so knowledgeable about the sport and the species and the science behind it. You just, we're really honored to
I'm
be
just
bringing you on and everything like that.
Happy
So,
to be a part of it.
so we're gonna mention like you feature like a new world record
Yeah.
every time, tell the story behind it and all that, and we're gonna be talking about new IGFA programs. And we're going to be bringing on people that are related to the IGFA more, and how things work in that world.
And I think the cool part about that part of it too is because everyone that we are crossing paths with, have a mutual relationship with, is doing something very cool and unique in their own right with wherever they're coming from, right?
Yeah.
So if you get someone like Dave to come in from Catchstat, he knows the IGFA just as well as anybody. He used to work there, and so he has the stories and the history that I have, and we cross paths with the same thing. But he also is doing his own thing with Catchstat, which is such a cool story to get to tell the listeners. And anyone that we're going to be bringing on is going to be the same way, where not only do we have a mutual connection with what both you and I are doing, they have their own thing too that stands alone that is very impressive in this industry too, which is, again, I'd like to think we cross paths with a lot of really cool people, so it'd be cool to hear their stories and kind of like bring it all together. And from the record perspective, that gets me excited because I do think there's a lot of cool stuff that comes across my desk.
That's the thing. Like, listen, these people are catching world records, right? And
Yeah.
you don't want it to end with your submission and saying congratulations. You know what I mean? Let's celebrate that.
No, yeah,
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and so what I'll do is every month, we typically put out our International Angler. It's our online publication. If you're an IGFA member, you have access to it. IGFA digital membership's only $20 for the year. Highly recommend it. You get discount codes for our corporate partners.
Or you could become a lifetime member.
Or you can become a lifetime member, like our
Lifetime
good friend
member.
Dennis here. It's a commitment, but we're also very appreciative.
Very
of it.
proud of my lifetime membership.
It is something to be proud of. It supports us a great deal. But we highlight 5 records each month that were approved in each IA, and some of them are just really cool stories. There's one, it's pending right now, so I'm we'll save it for the next episode. But in terms of stuff, like I've been doing this for 6 years. I actually have hard numbers, so I'm not overestimating. I've done about 5,000 approved records in those 6 years.
Wow!
So
congratulations.
Well,
that's a lot.
It's part of the job, but I mean,
No,
we
it's part of the
get
job, but it's a
typically
lot.
we approve typically 600 to 700 a year, and so it's right in that number. But
how many are you approving out of that roughly?
no, that's what we approve.
Oh, that's what you approve.
Yeah, what comes in.
Oh,
is
so you're
closer to-
reviewing a hell of a lot more, right? Or no?
Our rejected rates typically which is nice. It means, in my mind, if our rejected rate is lower, it means that we're doing a good enough job educating people on how to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's around 10%, I think. So like if we
Oh, that's
receive
not bad. It's not bad at all.
if we receive around 800, 850, we typically approve 650 to 700 a year.
Okay.
And those numbers vary based off of how many records we have available. Like this year, I think it'll be higher with the junior records coming into the fold now. We're getting a ton. I just did a box yesterday of, reviewing records of like 25 junior records for 2 anglers alone, like them 2 submitting 25 at one time.
Right.
So, there's a lot more that's going to come in, but there's a lot of cool stuff that comes across, cool stories, fish that I, grew up wanting to catch or did grow up fishing for that I see come in, or somebody catching a fish in a place I've been, and I get to see the pictures and everything's new. When I
Well, what about Emily? When you brought Emily in
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
right? What was the first thing that she says when she walks through the front door? Because we're in the Coral Springs Corporate Park right
Yeah,
here.
she's
There's
like-
a bunch of little finger canals
Yeah,
like all
she's
through
like,
the place.
catch
She goes,
records.
oh,
Yeah.
I know this place. I caught 3 world record snakeheads in here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
Really?
right. What's funny is when I was
In the parking lot?
Dennis didn't send me the pin, John, for where we were, and I remembered Emily being like, "It's right next to this really cool lake that I caught a fish at." So I was like looking on Apple Maps, and I was like, "That's got to be it." And then I recognized the studio, so I just sent him the pin. I was like, "This
Yeah,
is the
but
studio,
all these
right?"
little canals that
Oh,
are all
yeah.
throughout. I don't want to I should probably stop talking.
No, it's fine. That's it. Listen, records are meant to be beaten.
This place is gonna,
yeah.
this place is gonna be like, filled with.
But so there's very
kids.
few, certain things that come across that pique my interest. And the other day, I have Logan Exton. He works in my office now too. He's starting to learn the records game as well. He's a little green, fresh, but he might be a future guest too for us.
Okay.
So he's got a cool perspective. He's a student still at Nova, getting his master's, and he's like me from Pennsylvania.
What program is he studying?
I believe
Is he in the NSU Ocean program?
Yeah. He's over there.
It's a segue to our mural that we
perfect.
just painted on the side of the Fort Lauderdale Museum of Art.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone gets to check that out. And the reason I'm bringing it up is not necessarily to promote my work.
Very
However, we did that in collaboration with Nova Southeastern University.
Yeah.
So they asked me to paint this huge mural of a turtle.
It looks
basically to
so
promote
cool.
their turtle advocacy program.
Yeah.
But also to promote their NSU oceanography studies program.
He's on that campus over there by Port Everglades, and but he's starting to take on more responsibility in the records room as I'm doing more tournament stuff too. So I'm showing him the way, and he is now like the first person that sees an application. I used to be the first person. He's the first person. I'm the second person. So I'll be reviewing something. I'll be like, oh, I've been there before, right? But so something came in, and he's like, he was sitting, his desk is next to mine, and he was like, European bass. And I was like, oh, we haven't had one of those in forever. And he was like, 24 pounds. And I was like, 24? That's got to be, like, what record is it for? And he's like, I think it's the all tackle. And I was like, overlook, and the thing is huge.
Really?
Giant, yeah, from Ireland. It's not approved yet, so it's pending right now.
Okay.
I took a look at it yesterday. I can't say anything officially, but that
Are
might
you
be
able to share any pictures of that one?
Yeah, I probably could send it over to her.
Right.
Yeah, for John.
Maybe John could throw a picture of that one up.
I was going to use that as the first one for the next episode when we do.
Oh yeah, then we'll
do it that way. Yeah, because
then
ideally by the next episode, if everything goes well, it should be approved by then. And we can use that one.
Well,
for the
coming
first
off
one.
the heels of St. Patrick's Day,
we
have an Irish world record.
Yeah, you don't see a lot. Probably only gotten maybe 10 applications from Ireland in the 5 years I've been doing it.
Okay.
So there's people fish over there, but
what's the most common?
Pollock,
trout?
bass, it's all saltwater mostly, but like pollock, and European bass. European bass is, I would argue, is like
Is there a lot of river fishing over there?
There's not a ton.
Not really, right?
No, England's the same way.
Mostly
they have
just
it.
the coast.
The issue, I don't want to get like into stuff I'm not as familiar with, but the issue in England is a lot of the water's privatized because that country's been, people have lived there for thousands and thousands of years. So like any waterway or river system in America, we have a lot of public land that you can fish on. And a lot of the stuff's privatized over there, so you have to pay to fly fish in a river and things like that. It makes it access to waterways a little more difficult. I'm sure they have parks over here too, but from what I've heard from people, like it's a little bit easier to freshwater fish here in the States than it is over there. But the ocean and everything's
Taste
available.
that freedom, buddy.
I'm not complaining, but no, but that's cool. It's one of those ones where I saw the picture and I was like, that's the biggest one of those I've ever seen, which is what you should say for a world record.
Right.
It's different because we have a line class and junior and typical class, but like when you think all tackle, if you ask a general person on the street, like what's a world record, you think the biggest fish, right? And that was an instance where I saw it. I was like, I've never seen one that big.
What's the biggest difference between like an American bass and a European bass?
Well, so they're more similar to striped bass, they're saltwater species, right? So they're
right.
So I would say they have a little bit smaller mouth. They don't have stripes, but similar type of fish. They're out there schooling up, eating mackerel.
Well, we're gonna show a picture of the one, but
but it's a jumbo of that specific species.
Yeah.
So there's cool records, and we will. I promise. As I'm in my day job, I'll set aside a good one every episode for you, and we'll do a cool thing. I'd like to do them. If I can't make it up here, I'll film myself in the office because it'd be cool to show the listeners kind of like the World Records office. Everything's in there, the line testing machine and all that stuff. Too. So we'll put some cool stuff together for everyone.
Sweet. I hate ending episodes with you, but we're going to have to close this one out. You and I could just sit here and just talk forever. So, Zach, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything. And just to summarize a little bit, you're going to be making your presence known here. We're proud of that. And, follow, like, admire, subscribe, join IGFA, whatever you need to do. Just
pass along any questions you have. We're an open book as an organization. I personally am here to help you with anything you have. If you're watching this or listening to this and you're thinking, I've always wanted to know about this or that, any aspect of anything we do, reach out to us, DM, put a comment on YouTube, whatever.
How do they reach out? They can email you directly?
Email me directly.
What's your email?
The easiest email is, I always say, is my last name, Bellapigna, is very hard to spell. It's hq@igfa.org.
Okay.
HQ, like
HQ at
headquarters at
IGFA.
IGFA.org.
Perfect.
Gets to me. But,
Just say, send this to Zach.
send this to Zach. I have a question. Leave a comment. Dennis will pass along to me. But, I'm here to help. And that's the goal here, is to help you guys be better anglers, stewards of conservation, education, your community.
Yep. Yeah, community. That's the big word of the day. And if you want to fish the Walker's Tournament,
yep, Walker's Cay.
Go on over there.
Reach out. You can. Yeah, it's on Walker's Cay's website, as well as on ours. IGFA.org/Walker's Cay Shootout should be what it is. But you can also.
How many
like
people
I said,
did you get last year?
we had 17 boats, so we're hoping to push
Let's
that
get
up a
some
little
more.
bit. Yeah, that's the goal here. It's a great time. Over there. I can't stress that.
I heard
enough.
that the tournament was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great time. It's a unique thing, to get to fish a tournament on a historic place like that. And at the same time, like I said, in Costa Rica, it's a great group of boats over there, and it's people all that have an understanding of what the IGFA does too. So it helps not only support us, but you get to be around some really cool people too that are doing the same thing. So if you're on the fence, take the boat over, and we'll be there. We'll be there, smiling, waiting for you.
And what are the dates on that?
22nd to 26th of April.
Okay.
It should be Wednesday to a Saturday.
All right, so I'm sure we'll do an episode probably like maybe before that one.
I'll be here.
And I'm going to tease a topic for next episode that we're going to get into that I bet you're going to love talking about, and it's probably going to kill you not to talk about it at this very second.
Okay. We can talk about it when we're up.
We are going to talk about the blue marlin fishery right off the coast here.
Well, that is going to kill me.
Right? And I think that's a good one, because I think it's there. And
I've caught one off of Miami when I was.
But I think it's there more than people think.
Yeah,
it is. And I think people need to really pay attention to that.
We should go out and start chasing them.
Yeah, right. And I don't think enough people are doing that. So we're going to talk more about blue marlin fisheries right off the coast of Pompano and Boynton, Delray, and Miami, and all that.
Beautiful.
So, all right.
Ready to go?
Cool. All right. Zack Bellpinga.
Yeah.
From the IGFA. Thank you very much. We're going to end this like we always do. Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best. And at the end of the day, just let God do the rest. And do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, with the IGFA, we're all connected by water. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.